Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX. I'm Neha Khanna. In the course of the next 1 hour, we're going to focus on the one big story on everyone's mind. Tomorrow is the third and a very critical phase of polling in the ongoing Lok Sabha elections. Why is it so important? Of course, every phase is important, but tomorrow we'll see the maximum number of seats going to polls. Let's bring up some graphics for our viewers to put into perspective the significance of tomorrow's polling that's going to take place in many different parts of the country. This is phase 3 of the Lok Sabha polls. 116 seats will vote tomorrow. 1,600 candidates in the fray. Their fate will be decided tomorrow. These 116 seats that we're talking about are spread across 12 states and 2 union territories. It was meant to be in 115 seats earlier, but you can now add the East Tripura seat to the tally because the elections that were meant to happen in East Tripura in the last phase had to be postponed because of security concerns. It is now hoped that those elections will also take place tomorrow. Let's quickly run you through the list of the states that are going to polls tomorrow. Assam, 4 seats, Bihar 5, Chhattisgarh 7, Gujarat, all 26 Lok Sabha seats voting tomorrow in Prime Minister Modi's Gujarat, 2 in Goa, 1 in Jammu and Kashmir, 14 in Karnataka, another very important state down south, 20 in Kerala, Maharashtra 14, 6 in Odisha, 10 in Uttar Pradesh, 5 in West Bengal, 1 in Tripura East, and 1 in Dadra and Nagar Haveli, and another 1 in Daman and Diu. That is the breakup that we are looking at. 116 seats spread across 12 states, 2 union territories. And the fate of a lot of important high-profile candidates is going to be decided tomorrow. Let's, in fact, also put out some of those names for you before I introduce our panel. BJP President Amit Shah. His fate will be decided tomorrow. He is campaigning from the high-profile constituency of Gandhinagar in Gujarat. Extremely significant, not just because of the high profile of the man, but also because of the high profile of the constituency and the controversy surrounding his candidature from Gandhinagar, given that this is a seat that had been up till now held by party veteran L.K. Advani. There was a lot of speculation in the media about how party veterans like L.K. Advani and Murli Manohar Joshi had been completely put out to pasture by the BJP, with the party president now taking that seat from L.K. Advani. So that's one key contest to watch out for. Rahul Gandhi, Congress president, contesting from Wayanad in Kerala. His fate from Wayanad is also going to be decided. This is the first time since his entry into electoral politics that Rahul Gandhi is actually contesting from 2 seats. He has held the seat of Amethi since his entry into active politics since 2004. This time he's contesting from both Amethi and Wayanad in Kerala. Again, huge controversy over that, with the BJP, especially Smriti Irani, his opponent in Amethi, saying Rahul Gandhi is nervous about losing Amethi and that's why he's run away to Wayanad in Kerala. Unfortunately, we've also seen a lot of communal rhetoric around this, with many in the BJP saying that this is a safe seat for the party president, for the Congress president, because the minorities are actually the majority community there. Though if you look at the figures, those claims aren't really borne out on the ground, because there is almost a 50% Hindu population in this constituency, the other 50% comprising Muslims and Christians in the Wayanad seat. Some of the other high-profile candidates: Shashi Tharoor from Thiruvananthapuram, Mehbooba Mufti, former J&K Chief Minister and PDP Chief from Anantnag, Varun Gandhi from Pilibhit, this time swapping seats with his mother. Jaya Prada versus Azam Khan. This will be a very interesting contest to watch out for, given the kind of bitter political war and rhetoric that we've seen between the two in recent days. Azam Khan making some very, very objectionable statements about Jaya Prada. In the end, he was even penalized by the Election Commission for that. Mulayam Singh Yadav, the founder of the Samajwadi Party, his fate is going to be decided in Mainpuri. Supriya Sule, daughter of NCP Chief Sharad Pawar, contesting from Baramati. Shivpal Singh Yadav, Akhilesh Yadav's uncle and now heading a breakaway party, also contesting. Many, of course, allege that it's the BJP that has propped up Shivpal Singh Yadav and his party. Sambit Patra, the high-profile and rather controversial spokesperson of the BJP, contesting from Puri this time. He is taking on Pinaki Mishra of the BJD, another very interesting contest to watch out for. And this is a long list. So let's now throw this open to our panel. Talk about the key contests, the high-profile personalities whose fate is going to be decided tomorrow, and what are the crucial issues in this election. We're not going to talk about who is ahead in the race. We're not going to violate the model code of conduct of the Election Commission that is in place for all of us in the media, but we're going to talk about the issues that are dominating the narrative ahead of the third and critical phase of polling tomorrow. On that note, let me introduce our panel. Narayan Tirupati, spokesperson for the BJP, joining us from Chennai tonight. Here with me in the studio, Subhransh Rai, political analyst, sympathetic to the Congress, if I may add. Ranjan Bhattacharya, political analyst, certainly sympathetic to the Trinamool. Sumit Peer, political analyst. Okay, Mr. Bhattacharya taking exception to my description of him as a TMC sympathizer. Sumit Peer, political analyst who keeps a special focus on Jammu and Kashmir. In a moment, we're also hoping to be joined. In fact, I think we already have him. Sunit Chopra, spokesperson of the CPIM. And we're hoping to also be joined by T.R. Prasad Gowda, spokesperson for the JDS. All right, let me in fact begin with the gentlemen who are here with me in the studio. We've talked about the states that are going to polls tomorrow. We've talked about some of the high-profile contests that are going to take place tomorrow and the high-profile leaders whose fate is going to be decided tomorrow. But I would like to begin this discussion by focusing on some of the major political issues, stroke controversies that have arisen between the second and the third phases of polling. Let me bring up these issues one by one, go around the table, and I hope to get brief comments from each of our panelists on each of these issues that I'm hoping to raise. Today, there was a major political development. Congress President Rahul Gandhi had to say sorry to the Supreme Court. He apologized for incorrectly attributing to the Supreme Court a remark like, even the court has accepted Chaukidar Chor Hai in a reference to Prime Minister Modi in the context of the Rafale deal. Remember, a contempt petition had been filed against Rahul Gandhi in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court had said we never made these observations. Today, when asked to explain by the Supreme Court, Rahul Gandhi said, sorry, that was a remark I made in the heat of the poll campaign. So the question I want to ask all my panelists, starting with the Congress sympathizer on the show, because unfortunately the Congress refused to join us officially, Subhransh Rai. Subhransh, there are many who are asking, on the eve of the third phase of polling, isn't this a bit of a setback for the Congress and a shot in the arm for the BJP? Because Chaukidar Chor Hai, the Rafale deal, personal corruption of the Prime Minister, these are claims that Rahul Gandhi has been making for weeks and months now, hoping to turn it into a major election issue. While I'm not saying that the Supreme Court has decided on the merits of the Rafale deal or thrown out the case, but to think that Rahul Gandhi had to eat humble pie today and say sorry for wrongly quoting the Supreme Court, isn't that embarrassing?
Neha, let me correct you first, because Rahul Gandhi never says sorry. In the page of 22-page submission from the Rahul Gandhi. Wait a minute, I just send you exactly the structure what is mentioned by the Congress. Because
we are splitting hairs. What do you call an expression of regret?
Yes. No, expression of regret, you never say I'm sorry. Because he is very clearly mentioned into the statement.
He said the remark was made in the heat of poll campaign. He is admitting the Supreme Court never said what he had attributed to them. Let's not split hairs. I am asked, it's not about semantics. It's about the message that goes out on the eve of polling. The BJP is claiming victory. Is this not a setback for the Congress? Is this not a shot in the arm for the BJP? Please answer that
No,
question.
Not exactly like that. Because whatever he is mentioning is their own views and own input into that particular subject.
But wrongly quoting the Supreme Court of India, your own view?
It is not your status where exactly you are saying sorry. Because whatever he is mentioning into the word, there is a beautiful sentence and statement called into the English, because whatever the phrases and the friction used by Mr. Rahul Gandhi, that is not vice versa related with the sorry.
I'm very touched by your loyalty to the Congress party, but you will have to admit here that this is an embarrassment. Let me quickly go around the table. Sumit Peer, what do you make of this entire controversy? Because Rahul Gandhi was hoping to hinge his campaign on Rafale and Chaukidar Chore. The BJP is now saying it's boomeranged.
Right. You know, Neha, if you look at what happened is that it was Rahul Gandhi versus the Prime Minister Modi. Right. There were number 1 and number 2 people fighting for the Prime Ministership of India. If there is somebody after Modi ji, it's Mr. Rahul Gandhi. So look at the political dynamics. Now, all his campaign was around Chaukidar, Chor, we saw everybody Chaukidar and all that.
Yes.
How BJP countered it.
Trying to turn it into the biggest
political issue.
Yes.
Now what happened is when he went and said, Dekho ji, the Supreme Court said Chaukidar Chor hai, what happens next? The Meenakshi Lekhi, who is MP of BJP and a stall leader, she goes to the court, she files a petition. Supreme Court within 3 days, that is after the filing, they within 3 days gave them a time for hearing. Today, Mr. Rahul Gandhi unfortunately had to backtrack his statement. He said, I lied, I'm sorry. You know, we can have an English dictionary competition and find the words and the actual meanings, but
it all comes to the same thing.
But Neha, when we are fighting an election, there are 1.25 billion people around there watching this, the media and watching everybody talk. Do you think they are going to open to Oxford Dictionary and exactly see the meanings and words?
Okay.
It's a battle of perception. The perception going out is Rahul Gandhi had to backtrack. He had to say sorry.
No, not exactly that. Whatever the perception, whatever the media carry forward into the second step.
No rebuttal. You're entitled to your views just as Sumit is to his. I need to go around the table, so no rebuttals. All right, Mr. Bhattacharya, you know, the Trinamool and the Congress aren't exactly looking like allies at the moment with Mamta and Rahul attacking each other. So, I'm not sure if you're going to take a particularly sympathetic view of Rahul Gandhi and the controversy surrounding him. What do you make of the fact that he's had to embarrassingly perhaps backtrack on his statement today?
Well, I must tell you very honestly, the pre-election temperament of the political leaders are bringing down, irrespective of the fact which political party who belongs to, the level of complaint and allegations and counter allegations are bringing down the people's trust and confidence in the leadership of the country of today, irrespective of the fact which political party he or she belongs to.
I couldn't agree more with
Second point, which I like to say, irrespective of the fact who is, how tall leader he or she might be, to accept a mistake or say sorry to the highest court of the country is nothing to be very ashamed of.
Nothing to be ashamed of.
And nor anybody should try and encash politically. It can happen with anybody. Therefore,
but do you not think it was unfair on Rahul Gandhi's part to, you are saying
no, I'm not defending anybody.
Isn't it true that he tried to cash in on the ruling of the Supreme Court, where all that the court had said was these documents are admissible? That's all the court had said.
Neha,
he talked about it in an election rally.
Neha,
saying Supreme Court also admits Chaukidar is chore.
Please try and understand my point.
So he too capitalized on it.
I'm trying to tell you that the Supreme Court is the highest authority of the country. If that Supreme Court has given a judgment or issued a kind of a statement, should be honored by anybody and everyone.
That goes without saying. That goes without saying.
Therefore,
Mr. Bhattacharya is making the point, there's no shame in saying sorry to the Supreme Court. But you know, the point here is, are we now living in a post-truth world where facts just don't seem to matter anymore? And Narayan Tirupati, a perfect cue for me to come to you at this point, because while I'm pretty sure that this is music to your ears, the fact that Rahul Gandhi has had to now practically apologize to the Supreme Court, I know you will claim vindication and victory, saying he has been exposed. But let me tell you, sir, that it is your party and several leaders of your party who are regularly and routinely accused by the opposition and in many cases by commentators and analysts also of taking liberties with facts. And therefore, while I'm sure you celebrate the fact that Rahul Gandhi has had to eat humble pie today, isn't it true, sir, that the level of our political discourse has gone so low that facts just don't seem to be sacrosanct anymore? Whether it is for Rahul Gandhi or whether it is for your party. And let me give you an example of that. Amit Shah saying, हमने 250 terrorists मार दिए बालाकोट में. No evidence of that. The Air Force says we don't count the dead bodies. Nobody knows how many were killed. But Amit Shah had no hesitation in saying 250 killed in Balakot. That's just one example, sir. Mr. Tirupati.
Neha, You see, that day, even we have seen a lot of televisions and also print media. A lot of news had come, and during that time, maybe our leaders would have said, even we have said, even your channel had described so many things. But when it comes to Supreme Court, we need to understand that we have to honor the Supreme Court. And Rahul wantedly, deliberately, knowingly, intentionally misinterpreted the Supreme Court's version and said that Chaukidar chor hai, Supreme Court kaha. That's what Rahul had said on the same day. So now it is very clear, he himself has gone to the Supreme Court and said, I am sorry, he has regretted, and he took apologies. Why should he do that? It is merely for hungry for power, trying to fabricate that there is something in Rafale issue.
Okay.
Whereas nothing is there.
Okay.
So now, what is the opposition they are trying to do?
Okay.
See, unnecessarily,
Mr.
you are
Tirupati,
trying to indict a person.
I take your point.
Echo is happening.
I take your point. Any political leader lying, wrongly attributing statements to either a court or an individual, making up stories around anything is unacceptable, should be unacceptable in the Indian democracy.
This is against the Supreme Court. It is contempt of court.
I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
Mr. Tirupati, I completely agree with you that Rahul Gandhi should have never made that statement that he made. It is really wrong and unfortunate that he quoted something
what for he made
that
that?
he attributed.
Why?
So
Why?
let me finish.
Hungry for power.
Let me finish my question.
Trying to fabricate,
Let me finish my question,
trying
Mr.
to
Tirupati.
indict.
Sir, I agree
your
with you.
question is too long, Neha.
I agree with you, but you have to let me finish my second question to you before I go to the rest of the panel. You are saying hunger for power, he deliberately misled the people. I am saying what he did was wrong. He has had to apologize to the Supreme Court. However, sir, there are some who will ask, will Amit Shah apologizing, for example, for saying that 250 were killed in Balakot when there is no evidence of that on the ground?
Court never said that
The Indian Air Force has said there is no evidence. So when you say Rahul Gandhi is power hungry, so the same allegation can be leveled against your party president that he's been talking repeatedly about Pulwama and Balakot and Pakistan in election rally after election rally, obviously in order to capture power. What do you think Amit Shah is doing then?
Normally, Neha, your question is too long and you want me to finish very short. It is not possible. You don't
but I have to put
compare
out the facts.
those things. Yeah, no. You always do that. See that you cannot compare that Balakot with this. Because Balakot nobody knows. Even the Supreme Court
many
or
would
any
say that
court
was a lie
in
on
India.
Amit Shah's part.
No, I will tell you.
Nobody knows how many terrorists died.
I will tell you. See, the media reported several hundreds. Okay. And now we are very sure that
the media.
our Air Force, our
what
forces,
if I tell you those were
our
government
forces
plans?
had done that. First of all, you have a belief. You have belief in our forces.
So
Rahul will not have belief in our forces. He will not.
I have full faith in the Indian Air Force. Can I claim they went and killed 1,000? Sir, I have full faith in my Indian in my Indian Air Force. Can I claim they went and killed 1,000 people? Can I make up any figure because I have faith in my armed forces? Come on. Sunil Chopra, come in here. Your quick response to today's big news development, Rahul Gandhi having to, in a sense, eat humble pie, apologize to the Supreme Court for his Chaukidar chor hai remark which he had incorrectly attributed to the court. But when I asked Mr. Tirupati, why is it wrong for Rahul Gandhi to say something like this, but all right for Amit Shah to say we killed 250 terrorists in Balakot, he says you're comparing apples and oranges. Sunil Chopra, your response.
My feeling
He is not allowing me to answer.
This election has gone to the lowest level possible and far worse than either Amit Shah or Rahul Gandhi have been the remarks of Sadhvi Thakur, who has actually spoken against than either Amit Shah or Rahul Gandhi have been the remarks of Sadhvi Thakur, who has actually spoken against a martyr of this country.
Mr. Chopra, I promise to come to
Bombay attack.
Sadhvi in a moment. I promise to come to the Sadhvi topic in a moment.
Find that this
but let's
Sadhvi
stick
Thakur,
to Rahul Gandhi's development.
It has led to a similar attack in Sri Lanka, and 290 people have been killed.
Okay,
when you
let's
begin
not
to
bring
defend
Sri Lanka into
one
our
country,
domestic politics,
the
Mr.
terrorists
Chopra.
in every country get
It's very
their
unfortunate what happened in Sri Lanka, but let's not drag that into our domestic politics. And I promise to come to the Sadhvi Pragya Thakur topic. You tell me, what is your view on Rahul Gandhi having to apologize to the Supreme Court?
Coming in, they say that the attack is like the Bombay attack.
Good Lord, Mr. Chopra, I am not talking about Sri Lanka, sir. Can we come back to the subject at hand?
You are
Rahul Gandhi apologizing to the Supreme Court.
Such things to happen.
Do you think politicians across party lines are guilty of lying to the people of this country, whether it's the Congress or the BJP? I am asking you that pointed question.
My point is, nobody seems to care about the truth. When Mr. Modi is promising Jumla after Jumla, it is not a question. As they say, the ideology of the ruling class is the ruling ideology of any society. And the ruling class is telling lies across the board.
Okay. Point taken. Mr. Chopra thinks the ruling class is lying.
People are going to
Okay, obviously Mr. Tirupati will disagree, but let me move on to my next talking point. And you gave me a cue for that, Mr. Chopra, and in fact Mr. Bhattacharya also referred to it. The extremely unfortunate phenomenon of the level of our political discourse plummeting with every passing day in this country, and most political parties seem to be guilty of it. But yes, it's also true that most of this criticism has been leveled against leaders of the ruling party. Since we're talking about today's developments, Sumit Peer, I'll start with you.
Sure.
Mehbooba Mufti.
Right.
Who was till a year ago an ally of Prime Minister Modi and the BJP, today has taken on Prime Minister Modi in a tweet where she says, you know, Prime Minister Modi said yesterday, we've called Pakistan's nuclear bluff. We are not scared of them anymore. They say they have nuclear weapons. Do they think our nuclear buttons have been kept and reserved for Diwali? Mehbooba Mufti says, well, if we are not keeping our nukes for Diwali, Pakistan is not keeping its nukes for Eid either. Why is our Prime Minister taking the discourse so low? So my point is that, you know, every day we hear the ruling parties say, let's not bring in our armed forces into the political discourse. Let's not, politicize the army. Let's not talk about Wing Commander Abhinandan. But fact of the matter is that it's the ruling party which is most guilty of doing that in election rally after election rally. What do you make of this latest war of words between Mehbooba Mufti and the Prime Minister?
You see, Neha, when you look at the Kashmir politics, the politics there is 3 to 4 seats. The 3 seats in the valley, right? When you look at our country, we're talking of 580 odd seats, right? So in any way, 3 seats, whichever come from Kashmir, I'm not putting Jammu together, do not have a lot of say in the national politics as such. So is Ms. Mehbooba Mufti. She is not a national leader. Her 1 or 2 seats from Islamabad here and there will not contribute much.
Okay.
But they want to remain politically relevant. The only way is, we all know Mehbooba Mufti has been always supported by Jamaat-e-Islami. That is why she has been coming to power in South Kashmir. South Kashmir is the region which is highly military infested. Maximum number of encounters happen in South Kashmir. And what is she doing? She is catering to her. She is catering to her local audiences there.
Yes.
You know, whatever India says, she has to take an anti-India rhetoric. Why
no, but the point is, I want to come in here.
Yeah.
I want to come in here. My job is to play the devil's advocate.
Sure.
Is questioning your Prime Minister or your government or your ruling party tantamount to being anti-national or pro-Pakistan? Because that's a very dangerous line that the BJP has been taking, and I'm sorry to say this, you are echoing that line.
You have to...
Is it Mehbooba Mufti well within her rights as an opposition leader to question the Prime Minister?
No,
Does that make you an anti-national?
No,
does that make you pro-Pakistan?
Right. No,
I ask questions of my government, that makes me anti-national?
No, not at all.
That's a very dangerous discourse.
No, you know, there are only 2 things here. Just give me 10 seconds. First of all, the successive governments have not acted in Kashmir because they were afraid of Pakistan's nuclear bogey. Now you have to give the credit to Prime Minister Modi. He has called up their bluff. Now, when he calls up their bluff, the militants in Kashmir are rattled, Pakistan is rattled, Imran Khan is rattled, they don't know what to do next. So when they don't know what to do next, they here and there from this media, that media, they bring up the nuclear button. So what did Prime Minister Modi do yesterday? He called up their nuclear bluff also. He said, look, if you have nukes, we also have nukes. It's not going to take you anywhere.
Okay. Point taken. Point taken, Sumit. Point taken. And while you are well within your rights to justify what the Prime Minister has said, because that is your view, I still think it was very unfair on your part to call Mehbooba Mufti pro-Pakistan just because she's questioned the Prime Minister.
No, but
I will question you on that.
Sure.
But the second part, I completely take your point. That is your reasoning as to why the Prime Minister said what he did. However, Narayan Tirupati, it's not just Mehbooba Mufti who is saying why is our Prime Minister taking the political discourse to such a low level when he says our nukes are not kept for Diwali. So there are also many others commenting on this. Many political analysts, journalists are talking about this on Twitter and saying, while we understand that, you know, there is a lot of political rhetoric during an election in every country, especially a country like ours, but, you know, to talk so casually about nuclear weapons, to so casually issue a threat of a nuclear attack against a country with whom you have such a difficult past, is that not something that could have been avoided, Mr. Tirupati? That's the question many are asking. It's not just me.
Yeah, see, if you are going to interrupt me, I will not continue in this discussion because you never allow me to, you know, answer.
So you've already made up your mind.
Number one, the first round, I was trying to say, don't compare this Balkot strike and the Supreme Court's, you know, what happened in Rahul's issue. Number two, when we say that our 5 years of government have achieved in securing our country without any bomb blast, the civilian killings, that means to say that we have definitely strengthened our nation's security. How? We have to say so many things. It is definitely a political decision. The strength of the Prime Minister, will of the Prime Minister to go for the attack. That is what the Prime Minister, the government has taken the decision. We have to understand. And the UPA government, we had more than, you know, thousands of civilians died. So many hundreds of bomb blasts happened throughout the country.
Yes.
We were securing our borders very well. So there is nothing wrong in saying that our government has defended
nothing wrong with what the Prime Minister said, says Mr. Tirupati.
We have to tell.
Okay. You're saying we have to tell the world, we have to tell Pakistan. Sunit Chopra, come in here. There are some who, 1 second. Sunit Chopra, come in here. There are some who are saying such a casual remark should not have been made while you're actually issuing a nuclear threat to a neighbor. But Mr. Tirupati says, what's wrong with the Prime Minister telling our neighbor, stop blackmailing us, we're not going to submit to your blackmail anymore?
It shows that the Prime Minister is illogical. Nobody gives a nuclear threat like that to a neighboring country which has nuclear weapons.
When Pakistan gives
because
why not we say that?
It will lead to destruction on both sides. That means Modi doesn't care about what happens to Indians if there is a response from Pakistan. And that's a disgraceful statement.
Okay, to be fair, the Prime Minister is not saying we are launching a nuclear attack on Pakistan. To be fair, Mr. Chopra, the Prime Minister is not saying we are launching a nuclear attack on Pakistan.
No.
What he is doing is to remind them that we also have nuclear weapons and we are not going to be blackmailed by you anymore. I need to take a break, but since Subharansh has been wanting to come in, Subharansh, 20 seconds response.
No, it is not possible to answer in 20 seconds because I need minimum 60 seconds. First, whatever Mr. Narayan says about the power hunger. Sir, please.
Acha, Mr. Chopra, 1 second.
I want to say something.
Very quickly.
It is not a matter of Balakot, it is a matter of Uri, because from last 5 years we have more than failure of 50 times and more than 5,000 martyrs either from the army forces or paramilitary forces. Number two, and in last 4 years, 11 months, you have never ever talked about the nuclear. You have very strong, beautiful relationship and alliance with the PDP. Once you enjoy the power into the Kashmir Valley, you never talk about the Article 370, you never talk about the AFPA. So finally, it is a matter of election where you find and you want to regain the hunger of power. On that note, the Prime Minister says this atom bomb.
Okay, quick response from Mr. Tirupati. Mr. Tirupati, Mr. Very quick response, sir. Subharansh says, when you are in an alliance with the PDP, when you're in alliance with the PDP, you don't talk about Article 370, you don't talk about 35A, but the moment you part ways, your language changes. And how come you remember all these issues only at the time of elections, not while you were in power for 5 years?
Neha. Uri is a big threat than Pulwama.
Okay, and he's saying there have been a number of terror attacks under your regime. You can go on talking about the surgical strikes in Balakot, but what about the fact that there was a Pulwama, and there was an Uri, and there was a Pathankot? Yes.
See, all these things happened in the border because we were securing the borders. Our forces did not allow the terrorists or Pakistan.
Sir, now development is zero. So easily you can talk for border, easily you can talk for pro-nationalism, easily you can talk for nuclear power. I know everything should be happening in next 30 days only. Once the new government has formed,
you and everybody in India are keeping quiet because of our forces. And you are trying to insult our forces. Please don't insult our forces.
I take your point.
You are insulting our forces.
That your party is trying to send out the message that on the issue of nationalism, we are very strong. Look how we taught Pakistan a lesson in Balakot and in the surgical strikes. However, your opponents say, how are you forgetting that so many terror attacks actually happened in the first place on your watch? Surgical strikes were necessitated because there was an Uri. Balakot happened because there was a Pulwama.
Including Pulwama.
40
the governor of Kashmir said, "Humse chook ho gayi hai."
Neha, try to understand. Whether it is Jammu Kashmir or Punjab, these borders were attacked, our forces were attacked because our forces were saving our civilians. These terrorists, they target the civilians.
There are two sides to this story.
Sir, your government is failed in development.
Gujarat,
now you are only one option.
everywhere. What happened? Now you tell us. The last 5 years, no bombing. No,
Mr. Tirupati, there are two sides to this story. Yes, you've adopted a policy of muscular nationalism. You believe you've taught Pakistan a lesson. There are those who say, why did so many terror attacks happen on your watch? Why did so many Jawans lose their lives on your watch? Time for us to take a quick break here on the show. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we will talk about some of the other burning issues that are in fact dominating the political narrative ahead of tomorrow's third phase. Welcome back. Tomorrow is the third and biggest phase of polling in the ongoing Lok Sabha elections, where 116 seats will vote and decide the fate of 1,600 candidates across 12 states, 2 union territories, some very high-profile candidates in the frame too. I want to quickly discuss a couple of other burning political issues that have arisen over the last few days before we look at some key contests. Okay. Mr. Bhattacharya, since you come from the state of West Bengal, I'm going to ask you this question. What is it about West Bengal and never-ending poll-related violence? We saw what happened during the Panchayat polls last year. We saw what happened in the earlier phases of polling in the ongoing Lok Sabha elections. There's been just so much poll violence in West Bengal. Where do you think the buck stops? Because on the one hand, the Trinamool says that the BJP is causing all the trouble. You have the deployment, heavy deployment of central forces, which is why these elections in a state like West Bengal have been salami sliced into 7 phases for the very first time. But on the other hand, of course, the BJP Bengal have been salami sliced into 7 phases for the very first time. But on the other hand, of course, the BJP says law and order is, a state subject. Mamata Banerjee is the Home Minister. She's the one who's answerable. The point simply is, why is it so difficult to hold a free and fair election in West Bengal? What is going on?
Well, let me be very honest to you that any political system and in governance, the political party which is ruling the state, if the leadership becomes very weak and be very much dependent on hooligans, anti-socials, and you try to control the law and order, it's not possible.
You're clearly referring here to Mamata Banerjee. You're calling her a weak leader.
I'm not saying it may be.
Are you calling her a weak leader?
It may be. I'm talking about if there is a weak leadership, it can be applicable in any state and even in center. That is the common law.
Okay.
Now the second point is that political scenario, so far as West Bengal is concerned, this violence before the election is not a 1 year, 2 year back story. This is going on for a couple of years.
Now you say couple of years, the Trinamool and many others would say it's been happening for decades in West Bengal, including under the left regime, something
Absolutely.
that Sumit Chopra will not be happy to hear.
Absolutely, that's true.
Yes.
But
I will not be happy and I will not agree.
I will come to you, I promise. I promise I'll come to you.
But that is no excuse to justify what is happening.
I agree.
My point.
Political violence cannot be justified, however.
No, please allow me to complete.
Yes.
It is not only a political party which is ruling the state, is the moral and sole responsibility to ensure that law and order is within control.
All parties
it is all political parties where they failed.
Where they failed. I think that's a very good point. Narayan Tirupati, before I go across to Mr. Chopra, who's unhappy with what I've said. Narayan Tirupati, you keep saying Mamata Banerjee and her party and their goons, in your words, are responsible for all the violence in West Bengal. However, the Trinamool turns around and says it's the BJP and its affiliates, the RSS and the VHP who are hell-bent on fishing in troubled waters and creating unrest in the state, where she believes that she's still in a predominant and a very strong position. You talk about how one of your party workers was murdered recently. The Trinamool says we lost 3 of our workers in the month of February and they blame it on the BJP. So my point is, sir, while this war literally and figuratively goes on between the Trinamool and the BJP in West Bengal, it's the people of West Bengal who are suffering.
No, Neha, Mamata Banerjee or TMC, they are continuing from where the the communist left with the violence. The entire country, West Bengal was the, example for violence during polls and booth capturing during polls. They have set an example. Communist means violence. They have taken the entire power, 32 years of rule in West Bengal.
Mr. Bhattacharya says all parties are responsible.
Entirely controlling. No.
Mr. Tirupati, your party is a big player in West Bengal.
Yes, no,
what did you do in
your government at the center has deployed central forces.
In 32 years.
What are you doing in UP?
Mr. Tirupati, why are the central forces so helpless? Can you tell me? Okay, Mr. Tirupati, while you go on blaming the Trinamool, I'm asking you, there is heavy deployment of central forces. You've salami sliced the West Bengal elections into 7 phases. Why are the central forces so helpless in ensuring a peaceful poll?
Try to understand, Neha. We all
They
know
don't
that
want
the
a
entire
peaceful
state
poll.
misery is under the
They want
control
one in
of
favor of
the
BJP.
state government.
Mr. Chopra, I'm coming to you
It is
next.
a federal setup. If the center come forward to do something, then you will say that it is a federal setup and the rights of the states
But
are
sir,
being,
central forces are there to ensure peaceful polling. Are they not doing their job? This is a question that needs to be asked.
The TMC is continuing.
Come on, Mr. Tirupati. They are there to do their job, which is to ensure free and fair polling. If they are failing to ensure peaceful polling, then yes, the central forces are failing in their duty. I'm sorry to say this. Sumit Chopra.
Try to understand. Neha, try to understand. Yes. The political parties has to cooperate. The ruling party is not cooperating.
The ruling party is not cooperating, says Mr. Tirupati. Okay, Sumit Chopra, I have a pointed question for you, Sumit Chopra. Who is responsible for the poll violence in West Bengal? Is it the BJP or is it the Trinamool?
It is both. Both of them are playing this game of one-upmanship and trying to
Sir, let him finish. You had your say. I'll come to you.
Both are shamefully weak in this country. The BJP came to power with only 30% of the vote.
You are not there in the
70%
country.
of the people are against it, and more are against it now.
Only you are there. Only you are
there.
Sir,
Mr. Tirupati, come on. You had your chance. You had your chance. Mr. Tirupati, let him respond. We can talk without shouting, sir. We can talk without shouting.
Because
Mr. Chopra,
his party
complete your point.
is failing all over the country. And now they have put up somebody charged with terrorism as an MP in
I'm coming to Sadhvi next. But let's stick to West Bengal. I'm coming to Sadhvi next. Mr. Chopra insists on bringing the Sadhvi into every answer. But Mr. Chopra, One more question for you. Subharansh, 1 second. Mr. Chopra, one question, sir. You say, gentlemen, if you're all going to talk together, no one can be heard. Let's take turns to make our point. Come on, we can have a civilized debate. Sunil Chopra, one quick question. You blame both the BJP and the Trinamool for the violence in West Bengal. What about your party's track record in West Bengal? West Bengal had become synonymous with political violence during the decades that the left was in power. How can you be in denial about a fact which is a fact of history? Mr. Chopra.
Such a big riot that it took 24 hours to go from Howrah station to Moira Street. After that, since the left front came to power, there were no riots in Bengal.
No, not right.
And there was no violence also of that
Sir,
time.
you know, nobody is convinced by your argument. I'm so sorry, Mr. Chopra. You may want to believe West Bengal was an island of peace and paradise while you ruled the state. No one seems to agree with that. Okay, Subharansh, before I move on to my next talking point, I want your quick response.
My humble request, please.
Subharansh, I also have a question. No, 8 seconds. The feeling I get is, when it comes to West Bengal, it's the left, the BJP and the Congress all on one side versus Mamta Banerjee and the Trinamool on the other. All three of you seem to be blaming Mamta. Is that the case now?
Neha, it is my personal opinion. I want to answer something different.
Answer my question.
Your viewers should be in touch with my sense. First, I know from last 5 years, in fact from last 6-7 years, there is lots of blood into the Bengal. I know whosoever is responsible, either it's poll time or before pre-poll time.
Changed.
My simple question with Bharatiya Janata Party, you are in power from last 4 years, 11 months. Who can stop your hand with Article 356? Number one. You are handling.
Are you actually advocating imposition of president's rule in West Bengal?
You are controlling paramilitary forces. So actually it is my strong belief from last 5 years, you are enjoying the blood of your hardcore party workers.
Okay.
Because Bharatiya Janata Party wants to put and pull their share into the Bengal politics.
Okay.
That's why they are always enjoying and entertaining. Just note down my words.
Okay.
Sumit,
one quick comment and a specific question. The violence apart, which is very unfortunate, we've also seen a major political war between the BJP and Mamta Banerjee over, for example, the role of the Election Commission, the transfer of officers. Every time officers have been transferred, Mamta Banerjee has cried foul, called it a BJP-inspired conspiracy. Mamta and Chandrababu Naidu have even called the Election Commission a stooge of the BJP. Today, 7 more police officers have been transferred. Should we be seeing this kind of politics over our bureaucracy, over an institution like the Election Commission in this manner? I think this is in some ways unprecedented in our country.
Neha, if you look at West Bengal, it's a totally different state. Allow me a few seconds. If you look at states like UP and Bihar, where the crime rate is pretty high, and if you look at their crime rate of election and the election in West Bengal, there is no comparison. Though there are a lot of crime and criminal, which is in UP and Bihar as a state, but when you compare the elections between UP and Bihar, they are much, much peaceful than West Bengal. So West Bengal is run the Genghis Khan way. Excuse my language, Genghis Khan used to kill all his opponents. He used to leave nobody.
That's what you're accusing Trinamool of?
It's run the Genghis Khan way.
What, politically or literally killing opponents? What are you saying?
It's politically, literally, whatever way we look. So
that's a very serious charge you're making.
The game is in the West Bengal is set on blood. Unfortunate but true. But now, when you look at Miss Mamta Banerjee, what happened at the police commissioner think? Which chief minister in the history of independent India has gone and contested against its own central government federation protecting a police chief? Now you know what are the...
She keeps saying it is the BJP's political vendetta against her and that this was an extension of that.
You know observations of NIA on the police chief.
Your point. Quickly.
You know the observations of NIA on the police chief. We all know that. We know what the CBI has to say. But, if you bring down the discourse to that level, West Bengal unfortunately is trying to change or challenge the federal structure of India.
They are trying to challenge everything. That is exactly what the Chandrababu Naidus of the world and the Mamta Banerjees of the world and the Arvind Kejriwals of the world accuse the BJP and Prime Minister Modi of. They accuse the Prime Minister and his party of assaulting the federal structure of this country. But I want to move on to our next talking point, gentlemen. Please allow me. Let's now address the elephant in the room and a subject that Mr. Chopra has been dying to talk about. But I have to begin with our BJP representative, Narayan Tirupati. Narayan Tirupati, your party sent shockwaves through the country between the second and the third phase of polling when you announced that you were going to field Sadhvi Pragya Singh Thakur as your official Lok Sabha candidate in Bhopal. Now, you can very well say, oh, the charges have not been proved. But sir, let me remind you, she is a terror accused. She's not accused of pickpocketing. She's not accused of theft. She's not accused of forgery. She is accused of something as serious as terrorism. Charges against her have not been dropped. She's out only on bail. Makoka may have been dropped. UAPA still stands. My point is, for a party that claims to be tough on terror, that claims to talk about muscular nationalism all the time, how do you justify fielding somebody who has been accused of terror? The accusation against your party is, number one, that all your talk about national security is downright hypocritical. Number two, it's nothing but BJP's return to hardline Hindutva. You don't want to talk about governance. You don't want to talk about development. Let's focus on polarization once again. That's what your opponents are saying. Mr. Tirupati.
Yeah, Neha, in that case, Sonia, Rahul, Chidambaram, Karti Chidambaram, all, even Robert Vadra, all these people are...
Sir, terrorism.
They should have been in jail. You have, what is this?
None of them are charged with terrorism.
Who are you to say she is not been convicted? She is also not been convicted.
Terrorism is very serious.
What terrorism?
Can you now you are comparing apples and oranges.
Please try to understand. It was a politically motivated case. It has been
So that's your view. Let the court decide. The court is not saying it's politically motivated. Okay, respond to this. Mehbooba Mufti, your former ally, says...
An accused is innocent.
Mr.
Till the charges are proved.
Okay,
how can you don't give judgment, Neha. You
then let me ask you this, sir.
You cannot
innocent till proven guilty, says our law. Let me ask you this counter question. Mehbooba Mufti, your former ally, says, can you imagine the outrage there would have been in the BJP and across the country if I had fielded a terror accused? Even a terror accused in Jammu and Kashmir is innocent till proven guilty. How would you have reacted if the PDP had fielded a terror accused in Jammu and Kashmir?
Is there any ban? Is there any ban?
I am asking you.
For people who have been,
asking you. How would you have reacted if a terror accused in Jammu and Kashmir had been
fielded? We would not have reacted. What is this? No, it has been proved that she is not a terrorist. How can you say that she is a terrorist?
It has not been proved.
It is a political charge.
No, she is still an accused. She is not been exonerated.
The Congress people, they have wanted legal.
I am not saying she is a convict. But she is still an accused.
Samjhuta blast was done by
Mr. Tirupati, are you not embarrassed? Okay.
You are again trying
I have another question for you. I have another question for you. She may be a great saint in your eyes. In the eyes of the Indian law, she is a terror accused, whether you like it or not.
No, let us
are you not embarrassed? Are you not embarrassed by the statement she is making?
Eligible candidate.
How can you say? Mr. Tirupati,
why do you bring in saint and
Mr.
all those
Tirupati,
things?
Don't shout me down. You will not be able to hear my question. The woman says, I cursed Hemant Karkare. Your party takes great pride in saluting the heroes and martyrs of this country. Hemant Karkare was a martyr. She says, I cursed him, he died of curry. Hemant Karkare was a martyr. She says, I cursed him, he died of karma. Then she says, मैंने धक्का दिया बाबरी मस्जिद को. I am proud of it. You are proud of these statements that she is making?
You come out with what she said next day.
Hemant Karkare, Babri Masjid. Are you proud of the statements your party leaders making?
Why you are talking only that? You are talking one line.
I am not taking one line, sir. It is on record. The whole country has heard it. Subharansh Rai.
Yes.
Okay, one second. Mr. Tirupati, let
what exactly Sadhvi Pragya Singh Thakur says into the next day? He just want to say in the manufactured and mollified say line of sorry Why this line? Because from
Mamata
last
is
24
bringing-
years,
Mamata is
last
bringing-
24
No,
years,
no crosstalk. No crosstalk.
Trying to
Mr.
spy the
Tirupati,
unity
you've
of
had
this
your
country.
say. Mr. Tirupati, you've had your say. Subharansh, the problem is, this seems to be wrong at just so many levels. You have somebody accused of something as serious as terror being fielded in a Lok Sabha election. She's not been exonerated, let's be very clear about that. This seems to be a return to BJP's hardline Hindutva agenda, says the opposition. What happened to talk of Vikas? Are we now only at a time where all that matters is political polarization for the sake of votes? And then, of course, she's made matters so much worse by talking in the manner in which she did about Hemant Karkare, and then claiming with great pride that she was one of those responsible for the demolition of the Babri Masjid.
Neha, just try to understand, from 2007 to 2018, close to around more than 10 years plus, she is into jail, number one. And more than 100 times NIA opposed for her bail. From last 4 years, 11 months, the NDA government is into the power. Of course, 20 times NIA opposed. But in last time, NIA has no objections because he don't find anything more. So finally, she gets the bail, number one. Number two, whatever the comment he put it into the case of martyr Hemant Karkare, this gentleman is awarded by one of the biggest bravery award by Ashok Chakra.
He is a national hero.
Yes, national hero, no doubt.
Period.
Now the BJP has two faces. One sided you come with the saffron lady, Sadhvi Pragya Singh Thakur. Nation has not any problem because every has a right to go for the election. It is the constitutional right. But in second phase, vice versa, one-sided you talk about pro-nationalism, 100%, 1000% nationalism. In every post you are just putting Wing Commander Abhinandan. But in second line, the martyr who is made sacrifices for his life, you took her name and entire party from top to bottom. To Mr. Shah. No one has any
I need to go across to Sumit Chopra now, who in all fairness was the first one to raise this issue, though I was going to come to it anyway. Mr. Chopra, you know, the Congress and many others are saying, here's a party that, you know, is forever beating its chest on the issue of its muscular nationalism, talking about how we are the strongest party when it comes to nationalism and national security in the country. And then they induct somebody who is accused of terror into their party, field her in the Lok Sabha elections, and the first thing she does after her nomination is to abuse Hemant Karkare, a martyr and a national hero who died fighting terrorists, who died defending this country. Sumit Chopra, I cannot understand for the life of me how the BJP is trying to justify this. There seems to be only one explanation. They want polarization.
They want polarization, and the first thing we must remember is that the UAPA case was foisted on her by a BJP chief while the BJP chief minister was in power in Madhya Pradesh.
How can a chief minister foist a case?
So they actually foisted the case on her. The second thing is that already the court has stated that the inquiry was insufficient, and that is why they allowed her bail, but the bail was only for health reasons, and now she's fighting an election. So ultimately, you have told the whole region that terrorism pays in the long run, and that is why I think we have seen terrorism in Sri Lanka after 10 years. And I hope this game will stop, otherwise the whole region will be infected.
Point taken, sir. Point taken.
Pakistan is doing it, you are doing it.
Okay, point taken, Mr. Chopra. Sumit Peer, you come from J&K. Omar Abdullah has said that if she's not medically fit to be in jail, then how come she's medically fit to fight an election? If she can fight an election, she can very well go back to jail. He's even demanded cancellation of her bail. But more than that,
10 seconds, sorry. I have one very good point.
One second, no. I'll come back to you. But the larger point is this. What is the message that the BJP is trying to send out here? She is a terror accused, for God's sake, until proven innocent by a court of law.
You see, Neha, when you look at the BJP's game plan, first of all, I don't support her Babri Masjid comment and Hemant Karkare comment. That is condemnable. There has to be an unequivocal voice around that. We don't support in any way, and it is condemnable. I want to start with that.
Okay.
Now, if you look at the Sadhvi Pragya Thakur, she was used as a political pawn by Congress, namely two people, Digvijay Singh and Mr. P. Chidambaram, to coined this narrative of Hindu terrorism.
You can say that, and that's your view.
That is
my point is the matter is still before the court, which has not exonerated the woman.
Look at the politics of the case.
You can attribute whatever motives you want to the Congress. I don't hold a fort for the Congress. However, how can you ignore the fact that in the eyes of the Indian law, she is a terror accused?
Okay, I'll just take 1 second.
No, I am not interested in these conspiracy theories about Digvijay Singh, because you can condemn Digvijay Singh all you want. I don't care. My point is, she is a terror accused. The court has not exonerated her. Mr. Bhattacharya.
I will not take much time, more than 20 seconds.
Yes.
I enlighten with this debate about the kind of people are given opportunity to contest parliament election. My question, very simple question.
Yes.
Why the election commission are not expediting their authority in 2 cases?
Yes.
One, irrespective of the fact which political party they belong to.
Which cases are you referring to?
A, the language which should not be spoken by the leaders.
By who?
Should be
controlled
by the election commission.
Give us the names. Because four have been penalized. Give us the names.
Hundreds of people are talking every day.
You don't want to give us names.
I think he's talking about
that is one part. That is one part.
No, he's been penalized.
That is one part. And the second
5
part,
have been penalized.
Second part, if there, and actually there are cases pending, the accused is on bail out of jail, are given ticket to contest. Why the action is not being taken?
No. 1 second. I think we need to know the facts, sir. The law does not forbid you from contesting an election as long as you are not convicted. So I am not going to, pussyfoot around the facts. That is the fact of the case. However, there is a thing called morality in politics. So Varansh Rai, I am not saying that she has been found guilty of being a terrorist. However, she still stands accused of a very serious offense. A lot of people died in the Malegaon blast of 2008. What about political morality? What message does this send out?
20 seconds, what Umar Abdullah told, she gets the bail on behalf of their medical ground. If you've seen her videos and footage from last 5-10, she is easily walking, running and talking. But from last couple of hours, but from last couple of hours, I think 8 to 10 hours, she's just using the wheelchair. Number one. Number two, no, everyone has right, but I have one big question in my mind.
Should the ruling party of the country be fielding a terror accused?
For this 40 family who lost their life into the Malegaon blast. If NIA has surely some problem, that's why this lady is in jail from last 10 years.
How can you charge like that? You are not a judge.
Sir, my simple request is
now she is a terror accused.
She gets out on bail. But this 40 family come and ask you, now tell me, sir, who is responsible for
As a matter of fact, let me also inform my guests and our viewers that some families of the victims of the Malegaon blast have launched a special protest demanding the withdrawal of Sadhvi Pragya Singh Thakur from this election. It's not just your political opponents, Mr. Tirupati, it's not just your political opponents. The families of some of the Malegaon blast victims are also saying, how can this woman contest an election and tomorrow perhaps become our MP? That cannot be allowed in a democracy like ours. Alright, gentlemen, I know that this is now before the court of the people of this country. Let them decide. Gentlemen, I'm completely out of time. Since legally there is no bar on her to contest, the BJP sees nothing wrong with fielding a terror accused. Clearly the matter now lies in the court of the people. Sadhvi Pragya Singh Thakur's fate will be decided like the fate of those thousands of other candidates who are contesting these elections, the results of which will be known only on the 23rd of May. But let's quickly remind our viewers on this note that tomorrow is the third and a very critical phase of polling in the ongoing Lok Sabha elections, with 116 seats voting across 12 states, 2 union territories. The fate of 1,600 candidates is going to be decided, including that of BJP President Amit Shah and Congress President Rahul Gandhi from Wayanad. This is a story we'll track very, very closely here on NewsX. Thanks very much to my panel for joining us on this special broadcast. Thanks to the viewers for watching.